It was a cold and beautiful night when the moon was hidden behind the clouds. A very strong wind was howling loudly between the old wooden boards, and the old snake curtains clinging to the facade of the half-destroyed theater were trembling. Tom Hanks stood in front of the door of this theater, long forgotten. It was as if he had been called here to audition for some scary psychological movie that had not been filmed for years. But the call that called Tom Hanks was not an ordinary, unusual call. The air was so cold that it touched the deepest bones of a person. His heart beat rapidly. When he opened the door, he was greeted by a dark void inside. The air was filled with the smell of dust and old carpets. Only the moonlight shone through the windows of the room in the middle of the stage. But suddenly a voice broke the silence. Tom Hanks. Tom looked in the direction of the voice. The voice sounded familiar, but at the same time he did not recognize it. It was as if he heard his own voice, but in strange, distorted notes. Tom walked forward, approaching the stage. With each step, the wooden boards creaked under his feet, as if the theater recognized him. Tom slowly approached the stage, and suddenly a silhouette formed in front of him, and he could not believe his eyes. A distorted version of himself. His eyes were darkened. He looked like a ghost lost in the deep darkness. Look, you have always played different roles, but have you ever played yourself? Tom answered in a trembling and fearful voice. I am just an actor. I play the roles that I have been given. The shadow approached him, but did not bend. Its shape grew, filling every corner of the stage. The roles have mastered you, Tom, but your soul? Your soul remained in the shadows of the theater. The air in the room was getting colder. The temperature was dropping. Tom's breath was getting shorter. His heart was beating like a bird. He was lost not only on the stage, but also in his own mind. The shadow reached out to Tom, and Tom looked into a large mirror that shone in the middle of the stage. He saw himself in the mirror, but differently. Deep wrinkles on his face, fear and loneliness in his eyes. With each role you take, a piece of you disappears. Now you are here, but you are no longer you. Tom looked back. The stage was empty. But when he looked into the mirror, Tom felt as if the shadow was calling to him. Come and stay with me. Tom tried to retreat, but the wooden floors felt like they were holding him tightly. The mirror trembled, reflecting his every movement. The shadow approaching Tom raised its voice. Your success, every film you have starred in, has not left your soul. Now you are here with us, alone among the shadows. In an instant, the scene changed. The wooden chairs took on the shape of people, watching, although they were not spectators. With each glance, Tom's past roles came to life. Forrest Gump, Captain Miller, Chuck Nolan. Each one flashed before his eyes for a few seconds like a short film, then disappeared into the suffocating darkness. Tom shouted in a timid and trembling voice, I'm real. The words echoed and returned to him. You're not real, Tom. You're in the roles you play. You're in the shadows that surround you. At that moment, Tom realized what was happening. The theater is not just a stage. It is a manifestation of his entire career and soul. Tom took a deep breath and faced the fear that had arisen within him. He began to speak to himself aloud. I am Tom Hanks. I am real. I am myself. He felt the shadow envelop him, but it did not disappear. The theater was covered in his screams, but the shadows did not let him go. Tom turned on the stage and looked at his hands. He had felt the laughter, the love, and the fear that had built up over the years. I am not just the roles I play, I am myself. The mirror suddenly began to shine. The shadow receded. The theater was quiet again. Tom stood in the center of the stage. In every corner of the stage, the battered, time-worn curtains trembled. The shadows took on different shapes. In each shadow, there were traces of a past role he had played, revealing his heart. Forrest Gump's escape, Captain Miller's lost soldiers, Chuck Nolan's struggle on the lonely island. You are all inside me, Tom whispered. Suddenly, the stage began to darken, and all the roles surrounded him. But Tom was not afraid of this at all. He recognized himself in each role. Each of the roles was a part of Tom. Every fear was a memory, every shadow a remembrance. Tom paused for a moment and looked into the mirror again. His eyes were not as frightened as before. On the contrary, they were determined and very calm. I love the roles I played, but now I love myself more. He is again, by himself. I am Tom Hanks. Only me, he said. The shadow began to slowly disappear. The theater became quiet. The wooden floors no longer creaked. The curtains hung in the void. With each step, Tom tried to get out of the darkness of the theater. Tom quickly approached the door. His steps were no longer scary. He went out into the courtyard. The wind was gentle and very calm. The moonlight greeted him. Silence reigned behind the theater door. He smiled and looked at the stage. Every fear, every shadow is overcome in a day. My role, my life, no longer intertwined. The theater door closed, but a voice still remained in the night. Tom, you found your truth. Tom Hanks, like the hero of his own story, had turned white that night. The roles he had played could no longer control him. Every shadow, every fear, every memory had merged within him, but he had not lost himself. Tom turned back and looked at the stage one last time. The theater was bathed in white light, and it seemed quiet and empty, but there was a memory of the shadows living within it. Tom whispered a promise to himself. No role would ever capture his soul. No performance would ever replace the reality within him. He said to himself again, I am Tom Hanks. I am real. I am here. And that night, in the silence of the night, Tom Hanks was free for the first time as both an actor and the hero of his own story.